live from the Real Guppy Dockside Learning and Multimedia Center. It's the Real Angler Podcast with community Kevin Brannon, brought to you by AFTCO Fishing Apparel and Tackle, designed to perform. Channel Island Sport Fishing, offering deep-sea fishing on quality sport fishing charter boats, and more. Costa Sunglasses. Discover life's greatest adventures with Costa. See what's out there. Daiwa. If you want innovation and quality in your fishing products, Daiwa has what you need. And now, here's your host, Community Kevin Brannon. Today's guest, Jaime Diamond of Stardust Sport Fishing, Fish for Life, and CCA California. But this is the Real Anglers Podcast with community Kevin Brannon. And of course, Barry welcomes everybody to the show. So say hello, Barry.
Hey,
there's Barry. And our guest today is Jaime Diamond. And Kevin, take it away.
What up? Yeah, you can see Scotty here. He runs about how many podcasts total?
5.
He runs 5 podcasts. He wrote 7 books.
9.
Yeah, sorry. And I met him when I was an exterminator at Orkin. He was our customer service rep.
That's right.
And we'd call him to take orders off of our account. So we learned that he did a podcast. And I think within our first 6 months of me working there, we started doing podcasts at his magic shop.
Oh, it was sooner than that. You were so anxious to get going. I got to do a podcast. I want to do a podcast. And it's turned, we've been doing it for almost 9 years now. So. Yeah.
And then before he retired, he had like a ticker on retire date. So we'd run into each other. So he had it down. So when he was going to retire, so that we could do it on a weekly basis here out of the shop here. So that's kind of a little bit of our history. Awesome. He's a man of many talents, and he does reviews for movies on the radio, the same channel I'm on. So
KVTA,
pretty animated guy. Yeah. So we're lucky to have him.
Fun to be here.
All right, so let me try to introduce Jaime Diamond here. I wrote down a bunch of stuff. Like I said, we don't script it, but you've been a supporter of my TV show, Real Anglers, for over a decade. When we used to go up there and film on the Stardust when we started, right? Like when I barely knew how to edit a video, and let me come up there, and you guys have always opened the door and let me do films up there. You work with Carpinteria School. You're a trustee. You got me into the middle school over there. We were served together on the SAC board, which is the Sanctuary's Advisory Council. We have a board meeting this Friday. I think we're 19 days out from sport fishing. You have 2 fantastic boats, the Stardust and the Coral Sea. You do a lot of educational stuff. I know you do stuff with commercial fisheries. It's show season right now. So those are kind of all the notes that I took of things that we could talk about over the next 30, 45 minutes. But glad that you could join the show. For viewers that are listening, if the name sounds familiar, we did interview her husband, Jason Diamond, at the expo that's in Ventura. Little Max joined us as well. And that was fun. Yeah, he hung out with us through the show, and he's getting bigger. And you came out to our blue carpet premiere and showed support. You always do. See you at the ASA events now. So, anything you want to introduce yourself, talk about what you guys got going on. Like I said, I know I put a whole lot on that, but you're very, very important to our fishing industry in California and the West Coast, and all the things that people don't know or at least normally see as far as policy goes as well. And you always have really great things to say at our SAC to keep everybody informed, from tourism that you sit on a seat from to stuff that actually goes on, and you're very involved in, again, all those education communities that I like. So again, I keep talking just because you're all the exciting stuff you do. So go ahead and just talk to our guest and tell them what you do and why. And one thing we like to do is like what got you started and got you in to the fishing industry as well.
Okay, hi, yeah, Jaime Diamond here. So sorry, the dogs are trying to get on the podcast as well right now. So. So my husband Jason and I own Stardust Sport Fishing out of Santa Barbara at Santa Barbara Landing. We have the Stardust and the Coral Sea. My husband brought the Stardust up to Santa Barbara in about 1996, and we bought the Coral Sea in 2015. And so I married into fishing. This is not where I thought I'd be today originally. I went to culinary school. I was a pastry chef at a fine dining restaurant, and I married into this, and I realized that at the time there was a lot going on with fisheries, with ensuring that our fish stock were going to be healthy into the future. And I also recognized it was really hard for most of the boat owners were also captains. and they couldn't take off time from the water. They couldn't afford to go to the meetings and make comments and make public testimony. So it was, believe it or not, before Zoom, before iPhones, before video conferencing, had to go in person and provide public testimony. And so I started doing that a little bit here and there. Before that, had started doing more for our own business, really dove headfirst into the fact that this was going to be our family business, sport fishing. And I left my position as a pastry chef and started booking charters and reservations and doing daily fish counts and then daily pictures and reports and turning it into more of a story. And then when social media became a thing, I started posting on Facebook. And then once Instagram happened, I started posting on Instagram, and just over time got more and more involved and became an advocate for our fleet. Mostly because we couldn't afford not to. When you have your own small business, nobody's going to do anything for you. You have to do it all yourself, and it's rise and grind every day. And your phone never gets turned off. You answer every call, return every email, and yeah, that's how we got here. So now I am one of 3 regional vice presidents for the Sportfishing Association of California. I am on the Channel Islands Sanctuary Advisory Council with Kevin, representing businesses and business. So that covers recreational and commercial for the advisory committee. And I'm a school board member for Carpinteria Unified School District, and that's so. The things that weigh heavy on me, we have 3 kids. So that's how I got into the schools. But we have 3 kids here in Carpinteria, and I was a very involved parent because I was able to, and fortunate to be able to be hands-on as a parent. And it just evolved into being a school board member. And so the 2 things that I advocate for ferociously are the kids of Carpinteria, kids in general, but also our fisheries. So, yeah.
You know, when we interviewed Jason, he said he was going to marry you when he met you. Does he tell you that story too, that how you guys met? And he knew that he was going to marry you, I think, from the first day that he met you or something like that. I always thought that was a kind of really cool story. His eyes really get glossy. You can see the twinkle and stuff. So you didn't know you were going to marry into sport fishing, but I think he the way he tells it, he
before I did.
So that's cool, man. The Carpinteria school thing, when you approached us to do that, I thought was phenomenal. And I just wanted to tell you that this year, the students that we have is phenomenal. It's probably one of the coolest things I actually get to do. The other day, I took a picture. It was like the Sandlot kids, man. They're all washing their feet over by the bathroom on the table. So I took a little side shot, and the kids like, hey, they're taking photos. But I think one of the important factors that helped us grow is that we did have the rainy days. So that classroom time had a chance for them to do more bonding than when because we try to rush to the beach and get the 2 hours in that we can. And since we had a couple rainy days, they do their own knot tying. They do, they're very supportive of one another, you know, in my teaching style. I got them around each other and I say, hey, these are the expectations, right? And they're, you know, we run a tight ship because it's a short 2 hours that we have, but like, it's probably one of the coolest things that I'm doing right now. When I leave there, they fulfill me with joy. We've, I think, caught 13 fish already. And last year we only caught 2. Little Pedro that was there last year every week, because we had them coming in and out, where this year they're all there. They call me Teacher Kev. They gave me a whistle, so I feel like I'm a yard duty teacher. And Miss Medina really helped advocate to help us get in there as well. And then we take those videos and I send them to her, and then she sends them to Mr. Johnson. And then they're playing that on the Friday billboard ad. So it's a lot of interest this year, but like the time that we're spending with them and watching them gel together and encourage each other and put together puzzles and work, and it's just a whole nother atmosphere than when we kind of run around fishing last year. So just wanted to let you know that it's thank you for advocating for them and us, and how big it's gotten.
Well, I really love, and I especially love that classroom time that you have. I was actually at a fisheries meeting and showing folks, you had just sent me pictures, and I was showing folks from other states of what we're doing here for kids, and showing that it's teaching them how to fish, but it's also catch, clean, cook. It's also about ecosystem and habitat and conservation and life skills and knot tying and learning how different lures are going to act and why you would choose one over another and all of that. And most importantly, it is so inclusive. I love that we have kids of all backgrounds and all abilities that are able to participate. That is something really important to me, that everybody feels like they belong and they have a seat at the table and they get to participate, and they are seen. And so I'm so grateful to you and to have this opportunity for our kids, that it gives them all a space and a place to feel welcome.
Yeah. We have two of the kids that are in there. They send an aid, and one of them is missing a hand, and he didn't want to use the push button. You could see him in the video. So what we also did was I make in video, and we have one of our employees that work here now. He works with adults with like severe disabilities that prevents them from doing stuff. I forgot, like limited stuff, but we let him edit the videos that we get from carp. So he's putting them together. So I'll be able to share that with you, but you'll see the kid fishing with their aid, and he doesn't prevent him at all and from casting and engaging. And we have 2 of those students this year that gives us, so we have 12 students from all over the campus, and then 2 students that come from that after school program, and to see it. And then even his mom coming and saying and talking to us afterwards, man, it really is like so I mean, this Wednesday is like powerful, man, for me and them. One of the things that I taught them, we had because they have the 4 pillars of respect, and they're all involved. I forgot all 4, but I also try to use these 4 pillars that the school has up on the board, right? They're all engaging and interactive and respect and stuff like that. So we're going to knot tying day, and of course they start, oh, I can, I won't, So it was like, it actually turned into a self-talk day. So we started talking to them about, that they can do it. So as soon as, like, and little Delilah, one of the girls that are in there, she put together like 4 knots. But you could see like how once they got their first one, I said, here, put your name on the board. I wrote their name on the board. And then the next kid got to write his name on the board. So by the time we were done, they had to write their name with the knot that they tied. So we ended up with like 20 names up there, where when we started, they were like already doubting what they can do, their own ability. And I'm like, no, we got to talk to ourselves, and we can figure this out, and let's go through the steps, and we're not going to just quit right now. So, I get all motivational and inspirational. So then watching them do that and put all their names on the board, like it wasn't something that was so much planned. It just got executed that way. And then how to use that again as a symbol of, like you say, those, what they're learning out of the progress. So yeah, the classroom time does have a great time for them to bond with each other too. And that's why I say, we always tell them, in 20 years, you guys are going to be like, remember when we were in the fishing club together catching it? That's why I call it the Sandlot Club, because they are really cultivating some, I don't know if they would, some of these students would even, hang out with some of the other students that were there if it wasn't for this fishing club throughout, with their campus time, or their buddies now,
And that's what we really were hoping for with this program, is bringing kids from different backgrounds, different abilities, different lifestyles together, and making things an even playing field, and giving them the opportunity to learn something new and have just a great experience, and not feel the pressures, the societal pressures, the peer pressures from cliques, anything like that. A safe thing, something to do after school. And so those pillars you were talking about, it's the 4 pillars: be respectful, be responsible, be safe, and be a positive contributor.
Yeah.
And and so this is just a really great opportunity. And those are all things that I think, as a sport fishing community, we advocate for, not explicitly. We don't always say that, because it's not like we're talking to students. Yeah. But I think those are all things that we as fishermen hold as values, being a positive contributor and being responsible and respectful and safe. Conservation is so important, and we want to give people the opportunity to enjoy this, do it responsibly, feed your family, feed your friends, safe, follow the rules, know what the rules are, know what you're supposed to do, what you aren't supposed to do. and most of all, crew space where everybody feels like they're welcome at the rail if you're on the boat, or at the beach if you're on the shore. And so it's very applicable.
Yeah, that's about right. So yeah, we're teaching responsible angling and the fish that we catch, and size limits. We went through all that cool stuff, you know, because they have that poster inside the classroom too, you know, so I could reflect on that when we're talking about, like, my brain just happens to work that way, where I just remember and pick it up. So as we're incorporating it in the teaching, that we're still leaning on those things that are up on the board, you know, respectful for each other, also safety, right, when they let them cut the bait, or when they're carrying their hooks and swinging them around and stuff like that. So and utilizing it, because I say, man, if something happens too, man, they'll come. So I don't want anybody, because sometimes they want me to give them an answer, and I'm like, hey, I got to follow school procedure, man. You can't go back and say, well, Kev said, because I'm always cool guy, right? I'm like, yeah, whatever, right? But there's certain guidelines that I got to follow the school to make sure that we follow their protocols, you know, what they can bring and how they can do it within keeping them in a responsible way, because giving them enough responsibility that they can venture off on the beach and do stuff and be back in time, you know, that I'm not super strict, but we have strict guidelines just because we don't want to. I always say there's two words you don't want to hear the word oops: operating table in the ocean. So as long as we don't have to go back and say oops to them, then we're cool. And I'll feel, you know, one more little quick story before we move on or keep it going is there was this one kid, man, he comes up to me and he goes, if you really want to know why sometimes I'm in a bad mood, because my dad's in prison. So he just started talking to me about his dad that was in prison, and he hangs out with me, walking around picking up seashells together. So then he comes back and I'm like, hey, we got a chance to see your dad. He's going to, you know, because he was getting out. And then he came back last week and was like, yeah, so I got to hang out with my dad. And it was my birthday party. So like, they really feel comfortable with me. And this is like the first day. And I'm like, do I just look like that? He just opened up to me, you know, as we're walking on the beach picking it, because we were kind of timing. Okay, if we fish here, this takes us 45 minutes. We did an orientation walkthrough. That's just time. So we know how much time we got, you know, to get out there. We have it all set up where the rods are ready with their names, so we don't have to untangle them all anymore. Like, we have a really good system in place. But that kid just started like opening up to me about some other stuff, you know, and I thought it was neat that he felt comfortable, that he was able to, you know, and give him some courage. Like I said, yeah, you know, my dad, I grew up the same way, man. You know, my dad, like, because again, I don't keeping it within a region of what we could talk about, you know, with the students, but just to understand what he was coming from and get away from fishing, that he had that comfortable. And now we talk about, you know, it's my sister's birthday, I'm going to buy her $500 worth of gear, and my mom won't let me. So yeah, like we're like palsy wowsies out there too, you know, which is kind of cool.
And this is, you know, as I mentioned, we have kids of all different backgrounds and walks of life at our schools here in Carpinteria. And there's a large portion of our students who, when school is over at the end of the day, you know what, I shouldn't say large. There's a portion of our students, when school's over at the end of the day, going home is not always the best place. And so the after school programming is really important to provide that safe place for them to be. They have adult supervision. They have people who are obviously there because they care about them, like you and Miss Medina and others. And we want them to know that there are adults in their life that they can trust and that are safe and they can talk to, because they may not have that type of opportunity when they go home. And so to hear that is, it's making me a little emotional because that is exactly what our hope was for some of these students, and that they would have that connection, that sports aren't for them, traditional sports, or chess club isn't for them, but fishing kind of has a bit of a cool factor. And instead of going home and hanging out with the wrong people, I got my fishing club today. It has a little something cool to it, and it can be something that they take outside of this, which I believe you told me last year. There was one or two kids that wound up bringing like their younger sibling and going on the weekends and getting their family involved, which is what I think we as a fishing community love to see, is when you get the whole family involved and you can do something positive together and create a memory, catch a memory. And yeah, it's just, that's my heart for this program and where I love to see it going. Thank you.
Yeah. Pretty soon. So we're on Santa Barbara television as well. I think like 17 and 71. So a couple of the clips that we made, that we filmed and edited, will be on our Real Angler show, and then the kids will get a chance to see themselves. They all like the YouTube stuff. Like, I'm watching your videos, Kev, and they call me that Fisherman Kev. And one of the kids, his dad had pictures of Vaughn on in the like West Coast surf fishing, team. He's like, "Is this your teacher?" And like, "What's he like?" And and then his dad brought his rod, and I got to meet him and shake his hand. Like, it's real. Like, a community Kev is no joke. I know I picked the name up recently, but to see how it really cross pollinates in all these other ways, that is cool, man. That's why I said at the beginning how cool this year is, because it is hitting all the benchmarks that I think we talked about to get started to taking them fishing, and how it's grown from when we met with the superintendent last year, and she was kind of more focused on just getting the kids down to the water, but how these other things are, how we're able to incorporate these other cool aspects of what you would like to see as well, and the donor that funded it and stuff like that, and how you helped us get the funding for that to get me up there to be an educator and a teacher, and also the confidence of me, man. It's helped me, Jamie, because I get a classroom, right? Like, it levels my responsibility, and I take my development and my leadership real serious. So to have it on display and see it, and like it's very meaningful, I think, for all of us. So that's why I'm saying it's like and even Miss Medina, she'll be texting me about the weather and what are we gonna do today? And can you get it done? And she's all fired up. And I always bring her back a seashell too when we come back. I always bring her a shell, so she has like a whole desk full of seashells. And it's pretty, like I say, the way we're incorporating it through. And they do a great job after school, but getting the kids signed up, like exactly what you said is, to give you some feedback from campus, is that you could tell that all those people there are there because they love what they're doing. It's definitely that part. So
yeah.
I also love the fact that, and Kevin would never tell you this, but maybe he would, but he enjoys it as much as those kids do, because he says when he shows up and the kids are all community Kev, fisherman Kev, it just warms his heart, but he can't help but get this big smile on his face.
Yeah.
And I know that that's not why he's doing it, but that's part of why he's doing it. And it's just good to see him that happy too.
I absolutely agree. I love getting the pictures from him, and I can feel his excitement and his smile through when he's like, "Look at what we did today." And I know that he's ear to ear, grinning about it, thinking about it, replaying it, thinking about how he can do it even more or better or different. And that's really, really stoked to have Kev at Carpinteria Middle School.
Thanks. Keep it there as long as you can. That'd be cool. So now we do have the fishing season opened up. What do you think? I know you did a couple of shows, the PCS show. I didn't get to see, but I've seen some of your team there. The shows coming up in the season. I know you guys stay busy. You have a great outfit, all your captains, all your crew. I always, again, the same thing, the developmental part and discipleship, me and Jason talk about that. And I think that your guys' operation, because your leadership, how you guys care for your people, it really trickles down into why I can't get a spot on the Coral Sea. It's always booked and stuff like that. So what do you got? Are you excited for the season, or any regulations and things that are going on as we get started here in the next couple of weeks?
Yes. Yeah, so we're stoked. April 1st, rockfish season opens up. Right now we're doing some weekend trips on the Coral Sea for whitefish and sheephead and bass and stuff like that, just to keep the guys working and get folks some time on the rail and some food in the fridge. And so this year, the season structure is the same as last year. This is the season structure we're going to have for this year and for next year as of right now. It's locked in pretty hard. So first months, April, May, June, is an all-depth fishery. There are no depth restrictions for rockfish. And then July, August, September, if you're going to be fishing for anything in the RGC complex, so rockfish, lingcod, cabezon, greenling, stuff like that, you'll have to be shoreward or of 50 fathoms, so less than 50 fathoms once you have rockfish aboard. And then the last 3 months, just like last year, it will be seaward or deeper than 50 fathoms. 50 fathoms or deeper for rockfish. So the flexibility, especially this time of year with weather the way it gets, being able to have access to all depths, being able to move wherever we need to, really important, really helpful. That allows us to change up the game throughout the day. If we're fishing rockfish and lingcod to white sea bass or calico bass and sand bass, whatever it may be, halibut. it allows us that flexibility a little more to adapt with the weather and the current throughout the day. Our crew are really excited to get on there for sure. They've been waiting. It's been a long 3 months. We hauled out the Coral Sea this year and did a bunch of maintenance, painting, a new bottom paint. Not too much. We redid the rails. Our major maintenance on the boat done. We finished repowering a few years back on both boats and doing any major preventative maintenance. So here on things are going to be a little less intense on the boatyard side of things, which is nice. But just know we still put in the time and effort to do the preventative maintenance to keep the boat running all throughout the season. That way we aren't held up, having to cancel trips or anything like that because something breaks down. Of course, there are things that are out of our control, but we do everything we can to make sure that everything's up and running well. Our crew, not too much of a change this year. We do have, let's see here. Eric Torres is back. He'll be on the Stardust this year, but our captains are the same. Let's see here. Not a change on the crew.
Is that Rafa on the Coral Sea?
Rafa on the Coral Sea
and
Sal on the Stardust.
Sal on, yeah. I love Sal, man. Let me tell you, let me just jump in. Man, is he a very colorful captain. Man, he lets you know where every fish is at. He lets you know why they ain't biting. He screams at you and the fish finder. Man, he is one of the coolest animated captains. Oh, they're all over the meter. Why didn't they bite? We got to go find. Like, yeah, we love Sal.
Yeah. Man. Like, he wants to make sure you know he is working his backside off to get the fish on board, and he'll let you know why they're not and what's going on. And our guys move. If it's not biting, we're not going to sit there for an hour, we're pulling anchor, or if we even drop the anchor, and we're moving to the next spot. And we actually do quite a bit of live boating where we hold the boat in the spot instead
You're
of just
one of the only
anchoring.
boats that I think that do that because I work on the Gentleman up here and I fish out of our landing, and I think you guys are one of the only spots where you can fish both sides and keep the boat moving. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, so Jason really honed a technique called live boating, and so where captain is on the wheel, constantly putting the boat in and out of gear to literally stay right on top of that spot and keep your lines straight up and down, so your lines aren't way out in front of the boat or way back behind the boat getting all tangled up. And it's a lot of work on the captain, but it pays off real big, and so it keeps our ability to stay on that one spot much longer than if you were drifting over the spot and then having to come back around and reset and then come back around and reset.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I think one of that too is respect to Jason. I know that your crew, they feel like you got as a family, like that you guys have it's a healthy, like the culture, right? Like we have an obligation to fulfill for the angler, for you guys, you know what I mean? Like when you say it's a lot, like you could tell that when they're doing it, I think his nickname's Captain Midnight because he likes to make sure they got limits and stuff, but it's all in a way to make sure that they feel like they're really producing and providing what you guys have set the standard for, you know what I'm saying? It means something to them. You could tell, it's meaningful for them, the fishing and how they come back to the dock and what they're able to put in the gunny sacks and stuff, and I think that's, just want to share that. I don't know how much of that feedback you get back from passengers or what, and plus I get to go not everybody gets to go hang out with the crew like I do, so I get a little bit more behind the scene access to talk to them or interview them and hang out. And I love Larry and all your guys really, and so I kind of get a little bit more because I like that in the storytelling when I do the film, like the one where me and him are hanging out listening to country music in the wheelhouse on that trip, that video that we did, and because I want people also to see what the captains are doing. It's not like we're not trying to get out there. Because as a galley cook, I'll get a guy that comes into the galley and just want to whine, because the fish aren't biting. And this, again, hey, man, we're limited on the wind and the bait and we're restrictions. We can only fish where we can. So there's these other moving factors that we put in, that crews have to put into practice day to day to catch fish. So if you think one guy told me on the boat last year on the Gentleman, and I bought a fishing license. Can I turn it in because I didn't catch anything? I'm like, sir, it's not a catching license, So once in a while you'll get these, I get out of my galley, I'm Mr. Positive guy, but to kind of showcase that on the film and to share that is like what the captains are really trying to do in there. They're trying to put fish in your bag. The crew works hard to get the tips and the funding, and kind of outline our industry from sport fishing. You have different types of recreational fishing, but from a sport fishing perspective of what they go through. I remember I was filming Sean on a lingcod trip, and he was grabbing his fish finder trying to find these mackerel. And I'm like, I'm getting out of the wheelhouse, man. This is but nobody on deck knows, right? They just, we're going to go out. We're going to get limits of lingcod fishing at Jurassic. Yeah. They're going to be there when we get there. And you don't see that where are they at? I got to find bait. You know what I mean? So I like to highlight that and showcase it. And again, you guys are.
Yeah. It's amazing how many people think that we're not trying to catch fish for them somehow. Our crew is, talking to you, hey, you know what? You haven't been catching much on that. Why don't you change it up with this? Everybody else is using this and it seems to be working. And there's some folks that think if they can't catch it on that, then nobody else can. Like it's weird, and I don't want to get too deep into that. But
I know what you mean.
We're in the business of customer service and making people happy, and there's an aspect of we can do some of that. We can do what we can to make sure that we're on the fish and getting you fish. But again, just like you said, it's not a catching license; it's a fishing license, right? And sometimes tough days happen. And it's easy for someone, you spent money and hard-earned money to buy a ticket and drive somewhere, and you took a day off work probably, and to say, oh, captain, they didn't even try this, that, and the other. Like, they take that hard. That is a huge hit to them when that happens, not just financially, but they take it personal. And I wish more people understood that these boats wouldn't be in business. All the boats in the fleet, we wouldn't be in business if we just were taking people out to not catch anything, And so,
I told him it's like going to to Disneyland, and you're mad because you didn't see Mickey. It's like I didn't see Mickey. I want my money back. I didn't see him in his costume walking by and. Give me back my money. It's like, but didn't you get to see and have the funnel cake and, had yourself a good time, right? And you're mad because you didn't get to see Mickey. And that's kind of what I try to explain it to him for
us. Yeah, it's customer service. Again, fishing is going to be fishing. And typically for us, we are really blessed. Fishing is typically really good up for all of our boats. Ventura, Oxnard, Santa Barbara. The Santa Barbara Channel, it has some of the most prolific rockfish fishing on the West Coast. They call it the Galapagos of North America for a reason. But sometimes tough days happen, and when we can get people to walk away and say they still had a great day, that is what our ultimate goal is. So no matter what the fishing is like, I mean, and I've met folks who they go home with a full bag and somehow they're still not happy. Yeah. So. Unfortunately, there's folks that feel that they deserve to keep more than what they're allowed to. And they get upset with our crew and they say, no, you can't keep more than that. And then all of a sudden there might be a warden in the parking lot, and suddenly they're a little happier that our crew made sure that they didn't take more than they were supposed to.
That's definitely something that I put on one of the videos. I think the last 2 videos that you did is the tally marking that your guys do, is dropping the fish down to make sure that there is no over limit. There's definitely a tally marking. And if people that are listening to that means is like, they make sure that the amount of reds and whitefish and lingcod, they go through and they mark every fish on the back of the cutting board so that they know how many fish are on the boat at all times, and there's not a lot of boats that can do that. I know we can't do it as much on the Gent because we have like 50 people, but I know there's a couple other boats that have 18 or 20 passengers that, again, it's a common more, you see a little bit more, but I know your guys' boat is one that's really like, we need to count every fish that goes into the sack. We need to know every fish that's on this boat, Yep.
So you're not allowed to sack your own fish on our boats. And some people get upset with that, but that's how we make sure that nobody's in violation. Not everybody can tell the difference between the different rockfish species, and they don't understand the different sub-bag limits. And so our crew, they know that. They know what the rules are. They know what the bag limits are for each and every species, and they make sure that we're not in violation, that you're not in violation, and that if and when a game warden does come and check, that everything is right as rain. You don't have to worry about it. And so what we'll ask you to do, like sometimes, fish are just flying over the rails, full speed, fishing and catching. and we just tell them to leave them at your feet, and we will come and we will get them, and we will get your bag number. And don't get annoyed if they ask your bag number 15, 20 different times throughout the day, but we want to make sure that your fish is going in your bag. And so you just keep your fish by your feet, and we will come and bag them up and keep track of it for you. And that way everything's okay, because there's a lot of complexity in the regulations nowadays with sub-bag limit, different species. And I don't expect everybody to know all of that. That's our job. So
especially some of the rockfish that look similar, right? You get a golden eye or something, you think it's a vermilion or something like that,
Yeah. People think all orangish red is vermilion, right? And they're not. So yeah.
And even when you catch like a cowcod or something, people get a little like, what do you mean I can't keep that, And we send them in the descending devices, or what we're doing to help release fish. And you see that big old fish come up, and you're like, all excited, and you're like, sorry, sir, unfortunately, that one goes back in the drink. We can't keep that. So again, that is our job as a responsible. And that's what, when I go on the radio and I talk about fishing, there are people that never fished before. And if it sounds intimidating, but if you have crews on the boat that are making sure that, again, you're using grandpa's old salmon eggs and you're not catching fish, is going to get you on the right setup and identify the fish that you're catching properly and take it off your hook and help you get out and get you rigged up properly. And then also know the species identification and then process it for you, right? So that way it kind of lets down all those things that might, think, oh man, that just seems overwhelming. I don't think we should do that. Let's try this other recreational activity or some other part. I call it participational activity. Like, if you go to a ball game or amusement park, you don't get to run out and play catch with the Dodgers, right? You're just watching in your peanuts. Or fishing is an engagement thing, And so when you're going to spend that $200, like you say, the money that you're making, you might go that direction because it just seems the least path to resistance of you learning something, right? Or feeling overwhelmed or intimidated or asking the question. So that might prevent you from it. So when I showcase your guys' outfit and your boat, it's a perfect illustration of for people that everything that, for the new timers that come out. And even sometimes they're even stoked. They get 6 and they're happy. You don't need a bag full of fish. They don't need all monsters. They're just like, I got my first fish. And I got 6
We have plenty of people. They'll say, hey, you know what? I don't need my full bag. I only want 5 fish. I only want 8 fish. And that's fine. If people only want to catch and release, that works. And that's fine. Communicating what you're hoping to do or get out of the trip with a crew member is really important. Our crew trying to communicate as much as possible. Sometimes people think our crew communicate too much, but knowledge is power and information is. So we do a demo on the ride out. Our crew will help folks get rigged up before we even leave the dock. They'll talk to you about, if you're going to be using your own lures, what's working, what's not working. They'll let you know throughout the trip again, hey, you know what? I noticed you really, everybody's catching 3 for every 1 you're getting. Maybe switch it up. And they're not trying to be jerks or put down whatever you're doing. They just want you to be successful and have a good trip, because they understand that there's a value to this for people, a financial value, but also, and it's an activity for a lot of folks. It's being out on the water is like therapy, and it's peaceful, and it's time to kind of recenter and get back in touch with the world and life and stuff like that, and leave all the work behind. What a lot of our customers, the majority of our customers, it's an activity. It's a participative activity, but it's an activity, but more than that, they're going home with food. The majority of our passengers are doing this to bring home groceries, and we take that seriously too. And we recognize that and respect that. We're hunters on the water instead of on the land getting, a duck or a deer or a turkey or whatever else it may be. It's out on the water, and people are putting food on their tables. And so from the time you catch your fish to the time you go home with your bag, your fish have been treated well. They've been handled well, taken care of. And, the crew will fillet your fish for you if you want. There's a fee for that, but you can also retain your carcasses if you want to make fish stock or fish soup or something like that, which is really good. And I think that's something that a lot of people kind of don't think about, is how you can maximize your catch. And, having the crew fillet it for you, that way you have the meat that you can do whatever with, but then retaining some of the carcasses to make a really great stock for cioppino or some other kind of soup or sauce. It's I guess a pro tip: keep your carcass.
Yeah, they have that, and they can, if you want it. I know they got the guts and gills, where they scale them and take out the head and guts. If you want a whole fish, preserve it that way. And I also like to tell the people, again, we talked about where we live at, and we're blessed with the fishery that we have. I tell people that these rockfish, just talking about that, right? We get halibut, we can get, white sea bass, and we have all these other because of where these currents meet in our backyard. But man, my mouth's watering. There's no wrong way to eat these fish too, man. They're like Reese's peanut butter cups at Mellow Man. Ceviche, fried, grilled. I make a pesto lingcod fillet on the grill with steamed rice. Like, they're such a good eating table fare that you really can't mess it up. You don't need, it's not a smoked salmon. You could grill it, tacos, fry. There's so many, you could make fajitas. There's so many delicious ways to prepare these delicious white meat fish too, man.
It is not a heavy fish. It tastes like the ocean. It smells like the ocean. And so it takes on whatever flavor and whatever aroma you cook it with. And that's the most amazing part of this, is there's a lot of fish out there that what kind of fish it is because you can smell it. And this is not that. You can tell when someone cooked salmon at home. I'm just going to say it.
That's why I said, the smoked salmon.
But somebody cooked salmon when you walk into the house. And with rockfish, you really can't tell other than what else was cooked with it. It is so versatile, and especially for folks that maybe are not super into eating fish. This is a great entry fish. It is light. It's a white fish. It's clean. It's not heavy. It's not super oily, and you can do anything with it. So for those who are maybe a little more timid about trying fish, this is a great entry fish.
We lied to Kevin Jr. I told him it was chicken. Kevin always come fishing, and I don't eat fish. So we lied to him one time and told him it was chicken. And wait till he ate about 3 tacos. And then I laid it on him. Hey, what was that fish? What? Says, see? And now he loves it, Next to put a bunch of lemon on it. He doesn't put nothing else on his tacos. He just likes the tortilla, a whole bunch of lemon, and chunky fish, But I remember, I had to, I lied to my son. I said it was chicken to get him to try it, and then now he's good.
It worked.
Now we're trying to get him into trying sampling a little bit of sushi. But I was the same.
When it's cooked, it takes on the flavor or the scent of whatever you've done with it, and it is so nice because of that.
Well, that's why I'm waiting for fish season to open, man. We got 18 days. I'm going to work on the sea biscuit. They asked me to work the first night of the weekend, and I'll be on the gentleman like the first and third Sunday. And again, I'm the scrub collector too. So if I'm out working and you're throwing little scrubs in the bait tank, I sack them and I'll have them filleted. And I make another one I started a couple years ago that's good is I make a grilled fish sandwich on rye, and I'll take tartar sauce and add just a little bit of wasabi sauce. And I'll make my own tartar, like mayonnaise and a little dill pickle cut up, and I'll put it on a piece of rye bread toasted with the rockfish. Man, like tree fish or something, or barber pole. Oh my God. And the fish just falling out with pepper and seasoning on it. So if you're listening to that, tell you I got a few recipes, man. The dizzle with the sizzle, the gutter gourmet. I'll show you how to prepare some of this easy to cook rockfish. And if all else fails, you could always just put hot sauce on it. But like you say, there's not a fishy taste. You just get creative with it. Do your taste buds a favor. I tell them, and play with your food. I have all these little jingles that I tell people, because I get to, as the galley cook, I probably get more one-on-one time with passengers and the deckhands that are running around, right? When the boat's moving, or they're asked because they're signing in the galley before we leave. So they start asking me while they're getting their coffee, so I spend time. So me working on boats, me being the guppy guy, I think that's good for our crew too, because then again, I could remind them about the other things that they're witnessing on the water. And then on the other side, when the fish aren't biting on the pier, I know how to keep them engaged, because get enough for that repetition. Like we had a kid day on Sunday with Big Brothers Big Sisters. We caught 2 perch, about 15 little crabs, two spider crab, but the fishing was real slow for 3 hours, right? But you couldn't tell
Yeah.
because I know how to kind of entertain the experience versus just the monsters, right? We did a little tattoo party. We gave out tattoos and parents are getting them and the pelicans are going over and little dolphin sightings. So I'm able to kind of cross my self-reference over on recipes and the adventure itself. And look, we're in the Channel Islands, man. This is where the Chumash used to do their summer games off the island. I'm like, are you serious? Like, yeah, that's the high dive right there where they used to do backflips. And over in that cave, that's where the dragons live. And if the dragons come out, don't look them in the eye because they don't like that. You just got to act like you don't see them. And I got all kinds of fun stories that keep people entertained on the boat when we're in the island and the fish aren't biting. And then when they hook a fish on the pier, we call it a pier shark. So the kid's fighting the pier and we'll loosen the drag. So it's like, feels like they're running and it's pulled, and then it breaks. Like, oh my God, you lost it. It might've been oh my God, let's get you reset up again. So I kind of learned how to keep their fun whether the fish are biting or not. But I think for me, it translates, and then the food part. So I love what I get to do. And we're getting close on time. Do want to just say thank you for, again, all the years of support in the school. You get our workbooks, you donate. I'm going to ask you off air for some. It's that fundraiser season, so I do need a few more passes. If you could help me out, maybe bring him to the SAC meeting on Friday. But again, sincerely, you're the Diamond family. You set a standard in our industry. You guys fight for our industry across the board, all over. Your crews are great. That's just, so much. There's like a fraternity in fishing, right? Pinheads work themselves up to captains, and what we do as a resource, and knowing when we're fighting legislation, like the people don't see that side. And you guys are one of those well-known families for treating people right, your crew and everybody else, and to maintain this industry. So just want to say thank you and let people hear that part. It's not just putting fish in the bag. There's a lot, especially in California, and you're the face in a lot of that. So thank you so much.
Thank you. If you don't mind, I just have a couple things I want to mention. There's a really amazing organization called Fish for Life. And it's a nonprofit that all they do is put together fishing trips for kids with special needs and their families. And it is no cost.
That's what Jim Holden, right?
Yep, with Jim Holden. Last was the first year Santa Barbara did. It's been operating out of Dana Point since its inception, and I'm forgetting exactly how many years ago. I want to say almost 20, 16 to 20 years.
Yeah.
And so Dana Point at Dana Wharf Sportfishing is its origination. And there's also trips out of San Diego, but also now Santa Barbara. This year, it looks like our trips are going to be in May and then again in October. The dates are getting finalized right now, but these are free trips for families with special needs kids. Everybody gets a full day of just fun and excitement and adventure, and everybody is welcome and given the space they need. And it's a really beautiful day. It's a huge celebration. We have dignitaries come, Fish and Wildlife comes. And so we're always looking for volunteers. So Fish for Life, no matter where you are on the coast, from Santa Barbara to San Diego, there's somewhere for you to volunteer. Or if you're a family that's interested, reach out to fishforlife.org. And we'd love to have some folks volunteer for this year, but also families. If you've attended, talk to other families. If you haven't attended, check it out. And we're really excited to.
Do you have those dates yet or no? Is it just May and just
May
and October?
May and September. May and September.
When you get the dates, let me know. I'll come up and help. I know last time you sent, I think I already had something on my plan, but I'd love to help and have our people out there to help. And I know we work with the Autism Society. I don't know if you guys work with Autistic Society up there in Santa Barbara. Do you guys have one up there?
Yeah. So I actually, through my connection with the school board and the district, got information out through the school districts in Santa Barbara County across all their special ed directors were able to put out some targeted information. And because the organization has been going for so long, they have direct connections with different special needs communities and all the different groups throughout the state, really. And so they were able to put the information out. We definitely had full boats each time, so and a waiting list. So yeah, and we're also looking for donations
too. I think we could donate our our time to go up there if you want to capture that too. We can make up some video stuff for you, you know, if you were
That'd
interested
be awesome.
in us coming up there. We have a little video crew now, man. I got two other filmmakers. We're actually submitting some funding right now for some equipment to combine the arts together, video art and musicians. I have some people that compose music and students that like write their own composed music, so we could put a blend of art with art. You know, maybe we'll do the catch, cook, and clean, and we'll add culinary art. But so we're growing our production crew, and this is something we love to you know, document and that as well if you need it.
So yeah, so fishforlife.org. And then if folks are interested in doing a little more advocacy work for fisheries, if you've been around and you've seen how things are, and CCA California, Coastal Conservation Association of California, there's chapters from Morro Bay all the way to San Diego. And that is a really great way to get involved and know what's going on with our fisheries and help advocate for you as an individual recreational angler. I think Kev probably has talked about that before, but I'm just going to put the plug out there at the beginning of the season. Their Star Tournament is coming up. It's a fishing tournament that actually now includes more northern species like lingcod, and even further north, I believe salmon, but I'm not sure there's going to be a salmon season, unfortunately. But California halibut, which goes all the way up to the Bay Area, lingcod, which goes all the way up the coast of California. So more species that will be more inclusive for folks to participate. Really great opportunity there. And yeah, Stardust and Coral Sea out of Santa Barbara Landing. You can go to stardustsportfishing.com or give us a call, 805-963-3564, 805-963-3564. We're on social media, Instagram and Facebook. And we'd love to see you out on the rail this year.
Thank you, man. Yeah, you hit it all. Yeah, the CCA, that's important work too, man. They, yeah, it's really neat. I remember when I went out to Florida to like the ICAST and see how big it really got. But when I was the president up here and how much work from the coast and fighting snapper and our east, like I said, all the earlier when I introduced you about is people don't know how much policy and stuff goes into fishing. And yeah, CCA is definitely built from just Wayne starting out as a director, a one-man team to as big as they got. And it's really impressive. So yeah, our rights to fish, CCA, Coastal Conservation Association, California, get involved in that for sure. I think that's it. So what Scotty heard everything that you just said. So he's going to do a little doctoring up and he'll drop some logos and some information in over the video that'll overlay into it, right, Scotty?
Post-production, yes. Okay. I'll get that in there.
So all your contact information and the links for that and stuff like that and putting it up will be incorporated in this video as well.
And I'll fix the opening and closing credits too. That was weird. I don't know how that happened.
I think he was just trying to show off. He's like, oh, yeah, by the way.
Yeah, don't forget the anime show on Sundays. I'm going to have Barry take us out.
Yeah. Anything else, Jamie?
All right. That's it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this. It's been great talking with you guys today.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks, Jamie.
Hopefully you'll get some pictures today. I'm heading up to Carp after this. So I'll be looking in your inbox. Hopefully we catch them.
I will be over at the pool right there. I'm helping time for the swim meets. So maybe we'll be able to cross and say hi.
All right. Thank you. Hey, thank you for everything. Seriously, sincerely, thank you. All right. Let's go.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Brought to you by AftCo Fishing Apparel and Tackle, designed to perform. Channel Island Sport Fishing, offering deep-sea fishing on quality sport fishing charter boats, and more. Costa Sunglasses. Discover life's greatest adventures with Costa. See what's out there. Daiwa. If you want innovation and quality in your fishing products, Daiwa has what you need. This has been a Rough Edge Studios production.